So let me paint this picture for you. You're hanging out somewhere. Let's say you're having lunch one day by yourself, and some random man walks up to you, good-looking guy, very charming, right? Asks for your name, you give it, you ask for it back. He sits down, you guys talk, you exchange numbers, and this interaction then goes forward into you guys are getting to know each other, talking on the phone, even hanging out. Maybe you get intimate. Not saying you should. I'm just saying maybe you did. All right. Everything seems to be going great. Let's say we're 3 months in, and out of nowhere, you get a phone call from some number you don't recognize. You look at your phone. You think about ignoring it because you're like, I don't know what this number is. Probably a spam call. But something tells you just answer the call. You answer the call. A woman is on the other line. She asks you, hey, are you dating so-and-so? Let's just call him Bob. I don't know why I use Bob. We'll use Bob. Are you dating Bob? You're like, yeah, I'm dating Bob. Who is this? I'm his wife. And your whole world is blown. You are in shock. You can't believe it. And this completely puts you in a negative place when it comes to dating and relationships. And you wonder, how did I miss this? Why didn't I see this man was already in a relationship? Or you might just be thinking all about the ways he lied to you, tricked you, played you. Whatever it is, you're now in a messed up situation you never wished you got yourself into or found yourself in, okay? And so I want to help make sure that story does not happen to you. I want to help you avoid some of these pitfalls because unfortunately, yes, there are many situations. I'm not going to say it's like super all over the place, but there are many situations where a woman finds herself dating a man who is already in a relationship or married, okay? And there are some signs that you can be aware of that will help you understand what you're dealing with. Now, let me make it very clear. I do not want you to listen to these signs, and the minute you see one of them, you're like, yep, that's it. He's dating someone else or he's already in a relationship. Don't just run to that conclusion. Again, you use that sign as an issue for you to address with the man and see how he handles it, how he addresses it, if he corrects the problem, all right? If not, okay, then this might be, it is what it is. Now, I will say, if you see multiple of these signs in a situation, then the chances that he's dating someone else has increased exponentially. But again, we just don't want to run to that negative just from the jump, all right? So, and let me just say, I feel the need to say, if any of you are going through that or just went through that, I just want to say, I pray that you do not allow that situation to keep you in a place where you don't trust love anymore. And for some of you, maybe even no longer trusting God. I want you to understand that though that unfortunate situation may have happened to you, that does not represent all men. That doesn't represent what is out there waiting for you. So stay encouraged, keep your head up, heal, but know that better can come. But to help make sure we don't end up back there, let's get through some of these signs. And so one of the top signs to look for that'll tell you that a man is already in a relationship or already married is that he always disappears around the same time. So I want to be careful when I say this, but structure in a man's life can be a great thing, right? But when that structure seems to lead to him always being gone at certain times, you have to pay close attention. Now, it doesn't automatically mean, again, that person is dating someone else. So, for example, I know for me, I'm very strict with my morning routine. I'm very strict with my nighttime routine. I noticed in the past where if I allow myself to be on the phone too late at night, I struggle to fall asleep. And so because of that, I will have a cutoff time when it comes to talking for the most part. However, even though I have that structure and I'm very strict with it, there is a level of flexibility here and there, right? But when you're dealing with someone that it's always around the same time that, oh, now they're gone, now they're unavailable, I would say at least investigate. Ask some questions. What's going on here? Why is this person never able to be flexible within that time? Now, of course, one of the reasonable times or reasons why someone might disappear, and this would be more so during the day, is work, right? People have work hours, and not everyone is able to communicate while at work. I think we can make an argument that, yeah, but they can still reach out during lunch, right? There's still opportunities here and there to make communication. But I do think there's a greater argument for unavailability during work hours. And that's why it's important, or it would be wise for you to find out, what does this man do for a living? All right? Because he can't be claiming work hours during the grave shift if his job does not require grave shift hours. You know what I'm saying? Graveyard hours, whatever it is. But either way, that will help you be able to see, okay, is what he's claiming consistent with what I'm seeing? Okay? But either way, yes, when he's always disappearing around a certain time, that is definitely a sign that he may be already in a relationship. All right, so there's another sign for you to look out for, that he's already in a relationship or already married, is that he only talks to you when he's not home, okay? So again, for some of you, these signs may be like, are there people really doing this? And it's like, yes, there are, okay? So you may not have seen it, and hopefully you never have to deal with it. It does happen, okay? So we're basically saying, like, this man will talk to you on his way to work, maybe at work, when he's out and about, whatever it is, but never when he's home. And of course, I think some of you can figure out, if not all of you, because typically home is where the wife is, or home is where the partner is, okay? So it's harder to pull that off at home. But when he's out and about, it's cool. Now, some of you may be wondering, but how am I supposed to know when, like, I may not always know if we're talking on the phone when he's home or not. Well, this is why I'm going to say this. Though I am not the biggest fan of a lot of today's technology with texting, I think we overuse texting. To be honest with you, I think we overuse the phone. I think we got to get back to more in-person interaction. However, I do think that one of the great inventions to help you at least have a better idea what you're dealing with is FaceTime, okay? Or any kind of video talk, video chat. Because, complete side note, you know, there's a lot of women right now, or a lot of stories of people getting scammed online by people who are impersonating other individuals and making them believe they're in a relationship. I don't know if you saw, there was a video once, I think it was on Dr. Phil or somebody, where there was a woman who thought she was married to the artist Omarion, okay? And swearing by it, but it was someone who was impersonating him, scamming her. Anyways, and I know firsthand about this because I've had experiences where people have impersonated me, contacted people that follow me, and made them feel like they're actually dating me or whatever the case may be. And now they're upping their game to where they will even send you AI videos. One of my team members just sent me a video that they were able to retrieve, that this person basically took a clip I had and put an AI voice on there to make it seem like they were talking to the person personally, all right? So it's getting crazy out there. I say all that to say, the one thing that could have saved any one of these people the headache of believing and thinking they were talking to someone they weren't is FaceTime, is video chat. Unless I'm missing something, it's the one thing you can't fake, okay? So bringing that back to the man who's already in a relationship and doesn't want to talk to you when he's home, I brought up FaceTime because that would be a way for you to know what's the surroundings he has at that moment. Where is he at? You know what I'm saying? If he's actually home, and seeing if there's ever a time. Now, let me also say, of course, there are going to be times where even the person who is seeing someone else can work around some of these signs if they're very intentional and slick about it. So using the example of the guy who never talks when he's at home, you might bring it up and he'd be like, all right, cool, you know what? Tomorrow I'll make it happen. And then he might find a way to where everybody left the house for a moment and he does it. Or he may run in a room somewhere, do it quick for a few minutes, then get off the phone. So nothing is 100% certain going to tell you, and nothing, if they escape it, is guaranteed. There's a more foolproof way of knowing what you're dealing with, and we'll get to that later in the list. But again, this is a sign to at least be mindful of and pay attention to, and to look deeper into if you ever notice that pattern. All right, so we got several more. Another sign to look out for that a man is already in a relationship or married is that he doesn't answer his phone after certain hours. So typically late night hours, okay? So again, I'm sure we understand if someone is taken and they got a wife or a partner next to them or someone in the vicinity, they can't be answering the phone at night without it becoming a problem. So they tend to, it's kind of going back to that number one sign of disappearing around certain times, where now they're never able to answer around this late at night. Now, I will add to that, not just unable to answer or never answer, but if it goes as far as the phone is always turned off late at night, all right? So it's like he don't even want that bad boy ringing. and that might mean an additional phone exists that he just has for what he does. Whatever the case may be, that is something else to pay attention to. So again, not to sound like a broken record, but it is what it is. When you see these things, you discuss it. If you notice he's never picking up after a certain time, and I gave you an example from my own personal thing that, again, after a certain time, I am definitely less likely to answer the phone. But that's only because I am not trying to disrupt my sleep schedule, okay? But, of course, in case of emergency, there's random nights where I may be out, things like that allow me to do it. So we're not going to get too deep into this because there's not really much to say about it. It's just bottom line. Yeah, if you notice it, another thing to have a discussion about. All right. So the next sign that you are dating a man who's already in a relationship or married is that you can never go to his house. Now, let me start off with, make sure he even has a house to go to. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of situations out there where the dude is either jumping from home to home. He may be, and I'm not trying to say this disrespectfully, because I know there's people who've been in tough situations, living out his car, whatever the case may be, okay? So he doesn't have the option to bring you to his home that he does not have, and he's not going to be, a lot of men are going to feel insecure about that. So it's not something they're going to want to admit and acknowledge, right? So if he's in a situation like that, it's not clearly that he's seeing someone else. He just doesn't have it to show, right? But if this man does have a home, an apartment, a house, whatever the case may be, and you're never able to go there, it's a problem. Now, again, let's add some context. I've seen situations where, actually, I just spoke to somebody recently where they were dating a woman and the two people worked together. And so because her home was so close to the job, he would always be over there, all right? And they never really ever hung out at his place. Now, here's the difference there. It's not that he would ever be against her coming to his place. It just was always more convenient to be at hers, okay? So this is where if you're seeing somebody, you're seeing a guy, and he hasn't invited you to his house, that's why I don't want you just to jump to a negative conclusion, because he may have a reasoning that he just sees it as, it's more convenient there. The real thing that will reveal what may be going on here is when you make an attempt to say, hey, why don't we hang out at your house now? And it's always an excuse, always a no, always a problem, always avoided. Now we're looking at the potential of a bigger problem exists here, okay? So, and I think it goes without saying, of course, we understand why someone who's in a relationship would not want you at the home. And let me just add, because it's not, even though some men may be bold, right, and let a woman come to their house even when they are in a relationship or married, there are a lot of men who understand. I've heard of situations where a man lets a woman come to his house. Let's say he was trying to avoid it. He let it happen. He was in a relationship, right? Woman leaves. He thinks he's in the clear. His woman comes home later, whatever. They're just talking. Next thing you know, she comes up to him. She says, "What's this?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" She's holding a hair strand in her hand, okay? A strand of hair. And like, this is not my hair. Where did this come from? Okay? And that's the thing, like, you women, you guys can pick up on the littlest thing, and it's way too risky. If a man understands how detailed you are, he's not going to want to take that kind of risk. All right? So all that to say, yes, not being able to go to his house, definitely another sign or red flag that this man is already in a relationship. All right, now before we get to the next one, real quick, just want to let you know, if you want to join me or come meet me in person, you can do so at my next live event. Currently, I'm on the Time for a Change tour, but there's always new events coming out. Either way, I want to see you there. Click the link in the description or the comment section, or you can just go to my shop, stephanspeakshop.com, and get your tickets. Or as well, you can get books. You can book a coaching session. You can purchase the opportunity to get your specific personal questions asked. There's a lot of resources there. So again, go to stephanspeakshop.com or click the link in the description or in the comments section. Now, let's move things along. And another sign that he's already in a relationship or married is that he only communicates with you via social media. And I'm going to add to that. Someone said to me, mention WhatsApp. All right. Now, personally, I don't have the full rundown of why that's the case. But to my understanding, WhatsApp, I guess, is a tool that many may use to help keep things off their phone, right? And communicate through the app instead. So, but I got to do more research on the whole WhatsApp angle. But only communicating via social media. So the idea is that if he's in a relationship, again, that phone may be getting looked at from time to time, right? But his social media, she may not have the password to that. She may not have access to those things. And so it's easier to communicate. Well, not just easier, it's advantageous for him to keep all communication through social media. Now, again, this is one of those things where you have to be careful jumping to a negative conclusion if that is what has been happening, because what I can tell you is that, and I have to use the word unfortunately, in today's world, people have gotten very comfortable with certain modes of communication, whether that be texting, DMing, things of that nature. So I know of situations where guys, in not trying to rush the woman, it's almost like, okay, let me put it like this, and some of you who've experienced online dating, you'll understand where I'm going with this, okay? You could meet a man on an online dating site, and you're messaging with this man, and the messages just stay on the app or on the site. And then eventually things just fall apart, right? But the point I'm making is that he just continued to talk through the app versus asking for your phone number and taking it offline. And so some may assume, well, these men are just not serious, right? Why aren't they asking for the number, taking it offline? But what a woman doesn't understand is that sometimes when that man in the past has attempted to do that in what some may consider quickly, or he thought it was okay, she was like, hey, slow down, I'm not ready for that yet, because like the number is more intimate, it's deeper. Maybe she wants to keep it a little bit to just social media or the app for right now. Hopefully you're following me. So because of that, there are times where a man could be talking to you and communicating with you online, and he's not sure if you're ready to move it offline. Now, That would be more applicable early on in him trying to talk to you, shoot his shot, whatever the case may be. That would not be applicable if we're talking about a man that you already hang out with in person, that you guys are already going on dates or whatever the case may be. If that's the case and he's still only communicating through social media, the 99% chance that's a problem. Again, I would still say ask, because maybe it is a simple fix. Once he realizes you don't like that method of communication or it's concerning you, he will have no problem, using more phone. And I'm just trying to give benefit of the doubt, but that's just a red flag. Plain and simple. It's a red flag. So another thing to be mindful of. All right, couple more to go. And another sign that he is already in a relationship or married is that he doesn't want to follow each other on social media. And what was also brought to my attention is that he doesn't even have a social media. Now, let's start where he doesn't even have a social media. What sucks about this point is that, to me, I would have never saw anything wrong with someone not having a social media. I'd be like, bravo for you. Like, you're staying away from it. That's cool. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So many people are consumed by it. I mean, I love y'all coming on and watching my content, but I do feel like for some people it's become very unhealthy, right? So I would view it as, oh man, it's great that, he doesn't have one, so be it. Nothing wrong with that. Maybe he's more low key. He's interested in other things. Fine. But what was said to me before is that, again, it's not that every man who doesn't have a social media is automatically in a relationship. It's just that when a man is in a relationship or married, there are many out there who just take away the social media altogether, because that eliminates the chances of anyone seeing something and people, snitching and all these different things that can go wrong because of social media. Social media does give an avenue for people to create a bigger mess in their relationship, depending on what they got going on and how they're moving about in it. So if he does not have it, again, let's not just assume that means he's doing some shady business, but it's worth investigating and looking into what's the reason why, and making sure the rest of these things I mentioned are not happening in this situation. But then let's talk about, he has social media, which to me, this one is more of a, okay, it's a lot fairer to be concerned or view this as a red flag, because if he has social media, but wants to avoid following each other, and then on top of that, that's the icing on the cake, his page is on private. Yeah, that to me, again, we don't want to just accuse, all right? We don't want to assume, but it's worth looking into, because clearly that would be a way of avoiding you being able to, if I'm that guy and I'm in a relationship, and a lot of people who are in relationships or married, their partner wants them to post them at least once, right, on their page. A lot of times, not everybody, some people don't care. But if he has anything that shows he's in a relationship on that page, and if not even he has anything posted, if his woman is commenting, right? And forget even his woman, if other women he's entertaining, there could be so much going on, and the easiest way to avoid things getting messy with you, if he's trying to entertain you while being with this other person, is not even have you be able to see his social media. And, of course, in return, he doesn't care about following you, because he understands, I can't say, you can't follow me and I'm going to be on private while I'm going to ask to follow you. Some may be bold enough to do that. Many understand they'll accept the trade-off as long as you're not going to stress them about their social media. So, another one of those signs you should look out for. All right, now last but not least, another sign that he's already in a relationship or married is that he doesn't want to introduce you to any of his family or friends. Now, let me get right to saying, I know some of you are thinking, these men have introduced women to their family and friends, and still we're seeing someone else or in a relationship or even married, okay? Yes, There are some bold folks out there. There are some people who their family and friends, they know how they get down and they roll with it, okay? So that can happen. So that's why we always say nothing is automatic one way or the other, right? However, I think it is pretty safe to say when they won't do it at all, not one, because it's one thing, like I understand the argument by many, and I can say this personally coming from, and I don't want to just put it on Caribbean families, right? But I can say for me, I always grew up with the idea of I'm not trying to introduce someone to my family unless I really believe this is the one, we're going to take it to that level, and that's it. So during the getting to know each other phase, dating, I see no reason in introducing them, not because I'm seeing someone else, but because we're just not at that level yet, right? But that's with family. I personally wasn't like that in regards to my friends. I would let my friends, at least one of my friends, I would have no problem introducing to them. Now, sometimes in life, it just hasn't happened that way. Depending on, if you're from a certain city, you move, so your friends are back home and you're in a different place, the opportunity to introduce may not be there for that guy, right? But if there is local friends, you would think it would occur at some point. Now, do we just assume because it hasn't occurred it's a problem? No. The issue is if you bring it up and they're not trying to make it happen, or they're against making it happen. Again, something to be at least concerned about or investigate. I am open to different explanations as to why not, but I do think the whole not introducing you to family and friends goes beyond him seeing someone else. Because even if he's not already in a relationship or not married, but he refuses to basically bring you into his world, that's still a red flag. It's still a concern. It still has me, or gonna make me question, okay, where's his head at? How serious is he about you? Of course, it depends on also how he's treating you otherwise, how he's showing up in a relationship. There's a lot of layers to always evaluate. But at the core of it, if he's unwilling to do so, there's typically some kind of problem that exists that needs to be addressed. And if it cannot be corrected, then we got to accept this might not be it. Now listen, I know hearing all these signs and scenarios can be very stressful for some, and again, can paint a picture that makes you feel like, man, this ain't even worth it. I'm done with all this dating. Please don't do that. That's never the goal here when I do these videos. I'm just trying to shed light so that you can avoid a lot of the pitfalls and traps that so many women fall into. But I don't want you to take it and project it onto all men and make yourself say, well, this just isn't worth it. No, it is. It's just something to be mindful of. Now, I gave you all these signs. There might be more signs we can talk about when it comes to this issue. But the big sign to really pay attention to is your intuition. And at the end of the day, if your intuition is telling you something is wrong, and listen, your intuition may not be telling you flat out, this man is already in a relationship. This man's already married. But your intuition may be telling you something is wrong or this man is not the right man for you, okay? And sometimes a woman may either rationalize past that and ignore what their intuition is telling them, or look for physical evidence to validate what their intuition is saying to them, which I understand, right? Because people are afraid. I don't want to make the wrong decision because I'm just maybe I'm scared right now. Maybe it's something else going on right now. I get it. But don't fall into the trap of, because you can't find exactly what it is to validate how you're feeling, you just remain there and sweep things under the rug. Because you will never have peace that way. And you'll never fully be happy because the whole time something will be bothering you. And you're just trying to ignore it, but you can only ignore it for so long. You can only suppress it so much. So you've got to be willing to listen to your intuition. Now, I will add to that, right? Talk to God. I'm always going to tell y'all, talk to God. Though I love you guys listening to the advice and guidance I'm giving you, I will tell you always, I am not God. I am not the final say-so in your life. I want you to take what I'm giving you, go in prayer, and see if it applies for you. All right? And if God says, Steph, I don't know what he's talking about, he's tripping, then, hey, ignore what I said. But if he's like, hey, that was it. That's for you. You need to listen. This is what's going on. Then so be it. And I think that if you are willing to surrender yourself in prayer, to go to God, ask God specifically what's, if this guy is for you, is there something wrong here? Does anything that needs to be addressed? Whatever the questions are, you could save yourself so many unnecessary headaches. And I have to say this before we wrap things up. A lot of reasons why women are so drained with dating and relationships is because they've allowed people to linger longer in their life than they should have. And they develop what I call dating fatigue, okay? So they've allowed this man in these situations to drain them because it went past the time it should have gone by. I'm saying that weird, but either way, you get what I'm saying. And that's why I'm such an encourager of praying, because I feel that if you pray, you listen to your intuition, the sooner you can do that, the sooner you can cut things off that needs to be cut off, rather than letting it turn into way worse things. Like I've seen people, what should have been a 1 week or a 2 week or 1 month situation turn into years, turn into even, I hate to say it, miserable marriages, right? Pregnancies with someone who becomes a nightmare in your life. Like I've seen all these things happen to people. And I feel like if we just learn to go to God sooner or listen to your intuition sooner, you could avoid this. So take heed to that, but know that there is good out there. You can experience amazing relationships. So do not give up hope. Trust God, move forward, and you will receive what is best for you. Thank you for watching this video. I pray it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on You're Doing Too Much for a Man You're Dating when you see these 7 signs. But when you're getting into the habit of it, what are you really doing? And what's even more unfortunate is not only have you